All right, let's talk about a silent betrayal happening right in your fridge. You buy that block of Anchor or Lurpak because your family has always used it. You trust the brand, you trust the tradition, and you believe you are safe. But here is the hard truth. That familiar, salty, rich taste that comforts you every morning might be the very ingredient quietly pushing your blood pressure towards a stroke. This isn't about avoiding fat. It's about acknowledging that for those of us over 55 in the UK, even a small daily dose of excess sodium and unnecessary saturated fat is literally feeding the risk of losing your independence. We're talking about the silent threat that forces you into a hospital, taking away your ability to care for yourself. I've stripped away the fancy packaging and the marketing stories about happy cows. I'm looking purely at the nutrition labels that your GP worries about. I'm going to name the 8 worst butter brands sitting on UK shelves today, the ones actively working against your heart, and then give you 2 simple, scientifically sound alternatives. It's time to stop letting habit gamble with your future. No slice of toast is worth sacrificing your time and independence for. Top 1. Country Life. Salted butter. We need to look straight at the first, most disappointing brand on our list. And this one hits particularly close to home because it represents a massive contradiction. We buy Country Life salted butter precisely because it feels so quintessentially British and wholesome. It promises quality and tradition. You look at the charming packaging, you read the promises of small, quality farming, and it truly feels like a choice you can trust for your family. But here's where the loyalty hurts the most. When we look at this block through the lens of a person over 55 in the UK, someone who is diligently monitoring their blood pressure, the pleasant image completely evaporates. You have to ask yourself if the comforting taste of tradition is worth sabotaging your own health goals. The truth is, Country Life represents the biggest nutritional disconnect between what the packaging promises and what the aging body needs. Here is the simple, hard-to-swallow truth. Country Life salted butter has historically sat near the very top of the list when analyzing sodium content among major UK butter brands. We're talking about levels that can hit around 2.0 grams of salt per 100 grams. Now, 2.0 grams might sound small on a huge block, but think about how that translates to your daily intake. The NHS recommends that adults, especially those of us managing blood pressure, consume no more than 6 grams of salt per day. That's your ceiling. When you use Country Life just twice a day on your toast or in a little mashed potato, you are easily pouring nearly a gram of pure sodium into your system. That's almost 1/6 of your entire daily allowance, coming just from a tiny bit of butter. That small habit suddenly stops being comforting and starts looking like a silent, slow-moving threat. The real danger here isn't the saturated fat. Frankly, all butter has saturated fat. The critical issue is the sodium overload. As we age, our kidneys don't process salt as efficiently as they used to. That extra sodium hangs around in your bloodstream, pulling water in behind it. That added fluid increases the volume of blood passing through your vessels, and guess what? That dramatically raises your blood pressure. For people already dealing with hypertension or trying to prevent a stroke, Country Life is essentially a self-sabotage button disguised as a wholesome dairy product. You are paying a premium price for a habit that is actively fighting against your long-term independence. This is a classic marketing trap. You are paying for the feeling of British quality, but you are accidentally buying an excess of salt that is medically undesirable. People often make the switch to Country Life believing they are upgrading their diet, but they are completely missing the critical ingredient that their aging heart is screaming for them to avoid. My advice is clear and direct. Don't let the nostalgic packaging fool you. You must switch away from this block immediately. Go for their unsalted version if you absolutely must keep the brand loyalty. But if you continue to buy the salted Country Life, you are making a conscious choice to ignore the easiest, quickest way to protect yourself from unnecessary high blood pressure. You deserve a better choice, one that supports your health, not one that forces your heart to work overtime just to deal with your breakfast. Top 2. Anchor salted butter. If country life represented the betrayal of tradition, then the number 2 offender, Anchor salted butter, is the betrayal of convenience. Anchor is a powerhouse in UK supermarkets, often sold at a great price, making it the default, easy choice many of us just throw into the basket without a second thought. And honestly, why wouldn't you? It's been a dependable brand for decades, but when you are over 55 and actively working to manage or prevent conditions like hypertension, this dependable familiarity becomes your greatest risk. The health concern here is identical to our number 1 offender, dangerously elevated sodium levels, sitting around 1.7 grams of salt per 100 grams of butter. While that 1.7 number is slightly lower than country life, it still places Anchor firmly in the high-risk category for anyone concerned about heart health. The key danger with Anchor is its sheer accessibility and price point. Because it's so readily available and often competitively priced, we tend to use it more liberally, thinking it's just a little bit of butter. This is where the risk compounds. You put a spread on your morning toast, that's the first hit of sodium. Maybe you use a dollop in your scrambled eggs, that's hit number 2, and then you use a small spoon to finish off your vegetables. At dinner, that's hit number 3. In just 3 small habitual uses, you've consumed nearly a quarter of your entire daily recommended salt, allowance of 6 grams just from one side ingredient, and that's before you've accounted for the salt in your bread, your cereals, or your ready meals. Anchor's popularity means it's an invisible, everyday source of sodium stacking up against the NHS's advice. You see, for people managing blood pressure, the goal isn't just to reduce salt, it's to eliminate every unnecessary source. Every single extra milligram of sodium forces your heart to pump harder and your arteries to stiffen slightly more, inching you closer to a cardiovascular event. By consistently using Anchor salted butter, you are adding an uphill battle to your daily health routine. It's an easy fix, though. The Anchor brand itself offers a perfectly good unsalted block. There is zero logical reason to continue purchasing the salted version and exposing yourself to this avoidable incremental risk. Don't let convenience and habit dictate a choice that actively works against your heart's best interest. Switch the color of that packaging the next time you shop, and your body will immediately start thanking you for the break. Top 3. Tesco, Sainsbury's salted butter. If our first 2 brands represented the dangers of tradition and convenience, then our third offender, the own-label salted butters from giants like Tesco and Sainsbury's, represents the quiet daily risk of the budget conscious. I'm talking about those white or blue labeled blocks that sit right at the bottom of the shelf, the essential or value lines. These are not inherently bad products. They are designed to be affordable, and that's a real necessity for many people, especially those living on a fixed retirement income. But here is the critical health insight that often gets missed. When food manufacturers are forced to hit a rock-bottom price point, they prioritize cost-effective ingredients, and that almost always means they are less meticulous about managing 2 things that matter most to your aging body: saturated fat content and, crucially, sodium. The core problem with these own-label salted blocks is their complete lack of nutritional aspiration. They are produced to meet a minimum standard, not a health standard. While the premium brands might at least offer a story about their cream source, these budget blocks simply offer cheap salt to make the flavor palatable. This becomes a silent, massive risk because of their sheer volume and frequency of use. Think about it. When you buy a cheap block of butter, you might use it more liberally in your cooking or spread it thicker on your bread because the price feels inconsequential. But your heart doesn't care about the price tag. It only registers the cumulative load of sodium. When you use these salted blocks daily, you are consistently introducing that unnecessary salt into your system, year after year, day after day. For those over 55, this habit creates a profound, invisible danger: cumulative hypertension risk. Unlike a singular fatty meal that raises your cholesterol briefly, salt works insidiously. Every single gram of excess sodium you consume forces your arteries to work harder, putting constant low-level pressure on your blood vessels. By choosing the cheapest available salted butter from your local Tesco or Sainsbury's, you are choosing a product that actively contributes to this daily, incremental strain. You are essentially making a trade-off, saving a few pennies now but increasing the likelihood of chronic high blood pressure later, which requires expensive medication and sacrifices your quality of life. The solution here is painfully simple, which is why this product is an offender. These supermarkets almost always offer an own-label unsalted butter right next to the salted version, and the price difference is often negligible, sometimes even identical. There is zero logical reason for someone monitoring their health to continue choosing the salted option. Choosing the cheapest available salted butter is a failure to exercise basic nutritional vigilance. You don't have to break the bank to be healthy, you just have to switch the color of the packaging. Don't let convenience and the perception of a good deal blind you to the fact that you are sacrificing the easiest, most cost-effective way to protect your arteries and ensure your future independence. Your blood pressure monitor doesn't care about your budget. It only cares about the salt you feed it. Top 4. Lurpak Salted Spreadable. Now we arrive at Lurpak Salted Spreadable, and this brand represents the ultimate marketing tightrope walk. A genius product that simultaneously solves one problem while subtly creating another. Lurpak is the gold standard for taste in the UK. Many people will swear by it. The spreadable version was introduced to solve a common kitchen frustration: hard butter that tears your toast. To achieve that perfect soft texture straight from the fridge, Lurpak mixes their classic butter with a small percentage of vegetable oil, usually rapeseed oil. This mixture successfully reduces the saturated fat content compared to the pure butter block. And that's the win that makes people feel they are making a healthier choice. But here is the critical reason why, for the over 55 crowd, the salted spreadable version is still a poor choice and makes our list. The failure here lies in the sodium trade-off. When you reduce the dense fat content in any dairy product, you inevitably dilute some of the flavor. To ensure their famous, beloved taste profile remains intact, the flavor that keeps people loyal, Lurpak relies heavily on salt. You thought you made a smart choice by opting for the spreadable, thinking you cut down on fat, but you still absorb a significant unnecessary daily load of sodium. You are essentially falling victim to an illusion of healthiness. You fix the saturated fat problem slightly, but you maintain the high sodium problem, which, as we've discussed, is the more immediate and insidious threat to your blood pressure and cardiovascular system at this stage of life. The danger is amplified by the fact that it is so easy to use. Because Lurpak Spreadable glides effortlessly onto bread, you are likely to use more of it than you would with a hard block of butter. You are stacking up those grams of salt quickly, compounding the risk. This is a classic case of lifestyle compatibility outweighing nutritional caution. You prioritize convenience, the ease of spreading, over nutritional vigilance, and the sodium content becomes the hidden price you pay for that convenience. Lurpak is not intentionally deceiving you. They are giving you a great-tasting, convenient product. But they are relying on you to ignore the crucial detail on the nutritional label. You are paying a premium price for a product that still requires your kidneys and heart to work overtime. My advice here is simple. If you are a die-hard Lurpak fan, you absolutely must switch to the Lurpak Unsalted Spreadable. The texture is the same, the ease of use is the same, but you eliminate the most damaging ingredient for your blood pressure instantly. There is zero reason to keep the salted version in your fridge once you understand the unnecessary sodium burden it places on your body. Don't let the convenience of a soft spread become the catalyst for hardening your arteries. Top 5. Kerrygold Salted Butter. Now we move to our fifth offender, a brand that represents a deep, frustrating contradiction: Kerrygold Salted Butter. I want to be perfectly clear right up front. Kerrygold is one of the highest quality butters available on UK shelves. It's proudly a grass-fed butter, meaning the cows graze naturally, which results in a rich golden color and better nutritional content. Specifically higher levels of beneficial vitamin K2 and CLA, conjugated linoleic acid. This is butter done right, and if you are going to consume pure butter, this is the version you should choose. But, and this is a huge critical but, for anyone over the age of 55, The moment you choose the salted block, you erase the primary health benefit and introduce an unacceptable risk. Kerrygold's quality is derived from its grass-fed source, giving it those valuable nutrients that help protect your arteries and bones. However, the manufacturer adds salt primarily to enhance flavor and extend shelf life, and that salt content immediately places it in the high sodium category, stacking up yet another source of unnecessary pressure on your circulatory system. The contradiction here is agonizing. You are paying a premium price for the K2 benefit, the nutrient that helps keep calcium out of your arteries, while simultaneously consuming high levels of sodium, which actively works to constrict those same arteries and elevate your blood pressure. You are essentially stepping on the gas and the brake at the same time, but in the realm of heart health, the brake, the salt, usually wins, pushing you closer to hypertension. For this demographic, the choice is simple. Sodium is the more immediate, manageable threat than saturated fat. While we should always moderate saturated fat intake, the primary goal for anyone over 55 is managing blood pressure to prevent stroke and heart disease. When you compare Kerrygold salted to the unsalted version, the saturated fat content is identical. The only thing you gain by choosing the salted version is a massive, avoidable risk to your heart that completely undermines the premium you paid for the grass-fed quality. This is a profound waste of money and a missed opportunity for health optimization. It's a failure of vigilance because the perfect choice, the Kerrygold unsalted butter, is sitting right next to it. Don't let the marketing and the known quality of the grass-fed source blind you to the fact that you are willingly adding one of the most destructive legal substances, salt, to your diet. If you want the great taste and the health benefits of grass-fed butter, simply make the 1-second decision to pick up the unsalted wrapper. Anything else is choosing flavor over the integrity of your arteries. Top 6. Clover Spread. Our sixth entry takes us into the tricky world of blended spreads, and here we find a common offender in UK fridges, clover spread. Clover is fascinating because it exists in a category that many over 55s mistakenly believe is inherently better for their hearts than pure butter. The thinking goes, it's a vegetable oil spread, so it must be low in saturated fat and therefore healthier. While it is true that clover, being a blend of butter and various vegetable oils, does have a lower saturated fat content than pure butter, that's the half-truth that pulls people in. The product often carries two significant risks that place it squarely on our worst list. The first major issue is its potential to be a source of high sodium. Like many blended spreads, manufacturers often rely on generous amounts of salt to make the flavor profile pop and disguise the less dairy-rich taste. Depending on the exact variant you choose, clover often has several, the sodium levels can creep up surprisingly high. If you switched from a traditional salted butter to clover thinking you were reducing risk, you might simply have swapped one type of fat for another while maintaining that dangerous daily sodium intake that pressures your kidneys and stiffens your arteries. This is the marketing trick. They highlight the reduction in saturated fat, hoping you don't check the salt column. The second concern, especially for those who still cling to the salted version of clover, is the lack of guaranteed nutritional quality compared to pure grass-fed options. While clover contains vegetable oils, they are often refined oils that do not offer the potent, protective benefits of vitamin K2 found in high-quality grass-fed butter, like our safe choice, Kerrygold Unsalted. So you get a moderate reduction in saturated fat, but you gain a moderate dose of sodium and miss out entirely on the anti-calcification benefits that K2 provides for your arteries. You are settling for a middle-of-the-road option that is neither genuinely beneficial for your blood pressure due to the salt, nor powerfully protective for your arteries due to the lack of key vitamins. Ultimately, clover spread, particularly the salted version, represents an unfulfilled promise. It gives you the convenience of a soft spread and a small reduction in one type of fat. But it fails to address the far more pressing concerns of sodium overload and nutritional void. If you must use a soft spread, you should opt for a brand that is either explicitly unsalted or one that contains added plant sterols for proactive cholesterol management. Choosing clover salted is opting for neutrality that, when you're managing health over 55, is basically choosing risk. Top 7. Any lighter spread with high salt. Our 7th spot isn't held by one single brand, but by an entire category that embodies one of the most cynical marketing tricks aimed directly at health-conscious consumers. The lighter spread with high salt. You see these brightly packaged tubs everywhere labeled with promises like 50% less fat or lighter alternative. These spreads, which include many varieties from popular ranges, successfully tap into the consumer desire to reduce saturated fat and cut calories. And yes, they deliver on the fat reduction promise. But this is the crucial point. When manufacturers remove fat, a primary carrier of flavor, the product suddenly tastes bland, watery, and unappealing. Their solution: they often pump up the sodium content dramatically to maintain a palatable flavor profile. This practice creates a profound, invisible health trap for the over 55 demographic. If you switch to a lighter spread because you were advised to manage your cholesterol, fat intake, you might inadvertently be choosing a spread that is dangerously high in salt, the very substance you need to strictly limit to manage your blood pressure. You traded a moderate risk, saturated fat, for an immediate and chronic risk: hypertension caused by excess sodium. This is a classic case of sacrificing your most critical health concern for a less important one. Many lighter spreads can contain astonishingly high sodium levels, sometimes higher per 100 grams than a standard salted block of butter, simply because the fat reduction requires that flavor compensation. The betrayal here is psychological. You feel virtuous for choosing the lighter option. You believe you have done your due diligence and protected your heart. This false sense of security may even lead you to use the spread more generously, thinking it's low fat, so it's fine. But every thick spread on your toast or generous dollop in your sandwich is quietly stacking up sodium that your aging kidneys cannot efficiently process, putting immediate and relentless strain on your arteries. This category is a clear demonstration that you can never rely on the marketing story alone. The packaging shouts less fat, but it whispers more salt. For those navigating heart health, the only way to avoid this trap is to completely ignore the lighter claim and focus exclusively on the sodium or salt per 100 gram on the back label. If you are serious about managing your blood pressure and maintaining your independence, you must view any lighter spread that is not labeled as unsalted or no added salt with extreme suspicion. Don't let a feel-good claim about calorie reduction become the catalyst for a genuine health crisis. Top 8. Full-fat ghee clarified butter. Our final offender is perhaps the most insidious because it doesn't even sit in the butter aisle. It hides in your cooking oils and spice cupboard. I'm talking about full-fat ghee or clarified butter. Many people, influenced by global cooking trends or seeking a cleaner fat source, have begun incorporating ghee into their daily routine, using it for sautéing, frying, or even adding a rich flavor to rice and vegetables. And while ghee is revered in some culinary circles for its high smoke point and pure flavor, its nutritional profile, when used frequently by the over 55 demographic, makes it a serious cardiovascular threat. The issue with ghee is alarmingly simple. It is 100% fat. And critically, it is nearly 60–65% pure saturated fat. Unlike standard butter, which is about 80% fat, ghee has had all the water and milk solids removed, concentrating the fat into its purest, most potent form. This means that a single teaspoon of ghee used for frying your morning eggs or cooking your curry is dumping far more artery-clogging saturated fat into your system than you realize. Remember, the NHS recommends limiting saturated fat to about 20–30 grams per day, depending on your sex. If you are consistently cooking with ghee, you can easily burn through half of that allowance in just 1 or 2 meals, making it virtually impossible to manage your intake for the rest of the day. The danger is amplified by its context. We use ghee in large quantities for cooking, not just for spreading. Spreading is measured in thin layers. Cooking is measured in generous tablespoons. This frequent high-volume use turns ghee into a silent, relentless contributor to the buildup of LDL cholesterol and the stiffening of your arteries. It's a classic case of unintended nutritional escalation. You think you're adopting a sophisticated cooking oil, but you're actually choosing the most concentrated form of saturated animal fat available. My advice here is absolutely unambiguous. Ghee must be treated as an indulgence, not a daily cooking oil. It belongs in special occasion recipes, not in your everyday frying pan. For daily cooking, you must substitute ghee with monounsaturated fats like olive oil or rapeseed oil, which actively support heart health rather than burden it. Don't let a great taste or a trend blind you to the fact that ghee is a massive, unnecessary, and dangerous source of saturated fat that is actively sabotaging your goals of maintaining a clear, flexible circulatory system. Your heart deserves something that fights for it, not something that forces it into retirement early. Safe choice 1. The cholesterol fighter. Now that we've cleared out the dangerous habits and the unnecessary health hazards from the first 8 brands, let's talk about solutions. This is where we stop playing defense and start actively protecting our hearts with every single slice of toast. Our first safe haven is specifically designed for anyone who has ever had a worried conversation with their GP about high LDL cholesterol. I'm talking about the cholesterol-fighting spreads, best exemplified by brands like Flora Proactive and Benecol. These aren't just low-fat alternatives, they are scientifically engineered tools for heart health, and they represent one of the simplest, most effective dietary changes you can make immediately. The secret ingredient in these tubs that makes them absolutely essential for the cholesterol conscious is plant sterols and stenols. Don't let the technical names scare you away. They are simple, naturally occurring compounds found in plants. Their function in your body is nothing short of brilliant. When you consume these spreads, the sterols and stenols actively compete with the dietary cholesterol you eat. Think of them as a healthy little barrier or a bouncer in your digestive system. They block your gut from absorbing some of the bad cholesterol from other foods in your meal, meaning a significant amount of that cholesterol passes harmlessly through your system instead of ending up in your bloodstream and hardening your arteries. This isn't some marketing gimmick or unproven fad. The effectiveness of plant sterols and stenols is backed by robust clinical evidence and endorsed by major health bodies across the globe. Studies consistently show that consistent daily use, usually about 2 to 2.5 grams, which is easily achieved by spreading these products on your bread or using them in place of regular butter, can actively lower your bad LDL cholesterol levels. For those over 55 who are trying to avoid starting statin medication or who are already on medication and want an extra layer of protection, switching to a spread like Flora Proactive or Benecol is a powerful proactive strategy. The beauty of this choice is its simplicity and convenience. You aren't asked to change your entire diet. You are simply asked to swap one tub of spread for another. You maintain the ritual of your morning toast or your lunch sandwich, but you transform that mundane habit into a daily gentle dose of cardioprotective medicine. This strategy is about regaining control. When you choose a sterol-rich spread, you stop allowing your butter to passively contribute to your health problems, and instead you force it to actively fight for your health. If your blood tests show high cholesterol, switching your daily spread to one of these brands is probably the single most impactful yet effortless dietary change you can implement today to secure your long-term independence and arterial health. Don't wait for your next checkup. Act now. The heart-healthy butter. If you are not managing severe cholesterol issues and absolutely refuse to give up the rich flavor of real butter, then you still need a safe, scientifically sound solution. The best choice on the shelf, the one that completely reverses the risk we identified in our top 8 list, is Kerrygold Unsalted Butter. This is a prime example of a premium product that was only compromised by a single ingredient, and by simply removing the salt, we are left with a powerful, heart-friendly fat. For anyone over 55 committed to staying healthy, this is the smart move. Kerrygold's immense value lies in its grass-fed source, which is crucial because it translates directly into superior nutritional content. Cows that graze naturally on grass produce milk fat rich in key compounds that are essential for our aging bodies. Specifically, Kerrygold contains significantly higher levels of conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, and most importantly, vitamin K2. While CLA has been linked in studies to potential anti-inflammatory benefits, a valuable asset as chronic inflammation is a driver of heart disease, vitamin K2 is the real hero here for cardiovascular and bone health. You must think of vitamin K2 as the dedicated traffic cop for calcium in your body. As we age, our calcium metabolism can falter, and calcium often ends up depositing itself in the wrong places, primarily in the soft tissues of the body, like your arteries. This process, known as arterial calcification or hardening of the arteries, is a leading cause of hypertension and stroke. K2 actively works to prevent this. It directs the calcium away from your arterial walls and channels it straight into your bones and teeth, where it belongs. By choosing a K2-rich food like Kerrygold unsalted, you are effectively introducing a daily, gentle protective mechanism against the very stiffness in your arteries that leads to major cardiovascular events. The profound health decision here is the elimination of the sodium. We established that the salted version of Kerrygold was a waste of money because the salt, sitting at around 1.7 grams per 100 grams, directly counteracts the K2 benefit by increasing blood pressure. By choosing the unsalted version, you eliminate the single most immediate threat to your blood pressure while simultaneously gaining that protective K2 benefit. The saturated fat content remains, but you have removed the much more pressing and dangerous risk factor for hypertension. This is the ultimate health trade-off. You are trading a guaranteed cardiovascular risk, sodium, for a potent protective mechanism, K2. The choice is simple, actionable, and necessary. You maintain the authentic butter flavor you crave, but you swap a life-threatening ingredient for a life-extending one. You transform your butter consumption from a passive health hazard into an active investment in your long-term independence and arterial flexibility. Don't let your desire for flavor make you pay the silent cost of high blood pressure. Pick up the unsalted wrapper and let your butter work for your heart, not against it. We've now exposed the hidden truths behind the butter aisle, revealing that loyalty to tradition can be the biggest threat to your health over 55. We identified the 8 brands that, through high sodium or concentrated saturated fat, actively work against your blood pressure and cholesterol goals. From the salt shockers like Country Life and Anchor Salted, to the marketing traps like the lighter spreads with hidden sodium and the daily saturated fat overload of ghee. But here is the critical takeaway. You are not helpless. You are now equipped with the knowledge to fight back. Your mission is simple. If you are managing cholesterol, you must swap your current spread for a plant-sterile product like Flora Proactive. If you are a committed butter lover, you must choose the unsalted grass-fed Kerrygold to gain its vital vitamin K2 defense against hardened arteries while eliminating the crippling risk of excess salt. Don't let your history or a nostalgic package gamble with your future independence. Protecting your heart doesn't require complex recipes or expensive gym memberships. It just requires you to stop paying a premium price for unnecessary sodium. Make the change on your very next shopping trip. Pick up the unsalted wrapper and let your butter start working for your health, not against it.